Pentagon report is detailing a dramatic increase in UFO sightings, more than 350 since 2021. Is there life on other planets? Scientists may be one step closer to an answer.
There is very compelling evidence that we may not be alone.
Occam's razor be damned. We are here to talk tic-tac, saucers, and spheres. Break out your cigars. At the end of each episode, you already know, Ronnie bores you to death about stars. Thank
Not
you.
nice to me.
I know, Ronnie.
At least my stuff factual.
That's
Yeah.
not nice to our viewers. All right, listen. So we've got some good stuff here today.
Yeah.
We've got some good stuff here, and Ronnie's shitting all over believers over here. I'm gonna show you guys some good stuff. Ronnie, well, not you, a friend of ours actually had sent us this the moment that it popped up on Instagram. The moment that it popped up on Instagram, and what I've done here is this is a new Roswell UFO. Okay, Ronnie?
Yeah, what was it? May 23rd, right?
In this year, this
month.
motherfucking month.
Just
And
a couple days ago.
What I've done is I've found different angles of it. So there's different people.
What was it? 4 different people, 4 different angles.
This looked too good to be true almost. Crystal clear in a blue sky, broad daylight, and it's close.
And not even to mention that it matches older videos of another UAP or UFO that does go from its saucer shape into on its side.
And or kind of Bob Lazar talked about, lo and behold, of how they travel.
Shout out to Bob Lazar if you want to hop on the show at some point.
Back in the 80s.
Or have us on yours.
He doesn't have a show. He actually doesn't like to talk to people very much.
Well,
there's been very
I.
few interviews from him.
Yeah, see, I don't like to talk to people much either, but I think I get along with them.
Well, but while you just live a lifestyle of a recluse, Bob Lazar has some crazy shit to talk about that has somewhat ruined his life. Yeah.
He's a good man.
This is new footage of a UFO in Roswell, and there are 4 different angles from 4 different people that I have found. Ronnie, let's play the clip.
This one's okay, yeah.
This is the original.
Yeah.
This is starting off with the original. And when you showed this to me, I actually looked like the guy's driving in his car. There's some power lines.
First I thought it was fake because I thought it might have been.
Looks too good to be true.
Yeah, if they might have just superimposed an older video into.
Also, this is a little zoomed in more from what the Instagram was. The Instagram one, my first thought I remember is the power lines, or what looks like power lines, is that just them hanging something?
Yeah.
But then it moves through it. You can see it clear in the sky, and then when we found other people taking other angles from other different phones, yeah. Listen, this made it into the newspaper. Did you know that, Ronnie?
I did not actually, no.
This made it into the newspaper.
That's pretty cool. What's the chances, though, man, of it happening once again in Roswell? You think they're looking for their friend?
I mean, I don't think that they... No.
Yeah.
I don't think they
I know, they're 2 completely different style of shit.
I don't think that they...
So this is the second angle right here,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yep. And I just think that... this looks...
That is just menacing, dude.
You just want something that looks crystal clear, non-black. There it is. And you can say the video's fake, but was it fake from 4 different people in 4 different places, and the newspaper couldn't see through it to not put it out in the newspaper as well?
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
And there's a plane, the plane going by. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's pretty crazy. It seems like a lot of these sightings are more in the southern region.
It seems unbothered by it all, does it not, Ronnie?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's just like, yeah, you can pass me. I don't care.
Yeah, it seems unbothered by it all. I mean, I really thought this would be turned out to be a fake, and instead we got back to, like, the next day after it came out and it was on Instagram, more images from more different people. Just I mean, pretty unreal, honestly. I mean, what's your whole take on this, Ronnie? This video.
It's the clearest video we've ever seen, man. I mean, there's no graininess to it or anything. I mean, you could bring about speculation that it's superimposed into the sky, but 4 different angles, 4 different phones, made it into the news. That's a crazy one to me. Honestly, I can't even find the words to really express it. Like,
nothing to debunk it quite yet, huh? We'll have to wait and see.
I mean, yeah, it's new, dude. Like, it's so new.
Very new.
There's
We're
not
bringing-
gonna be.
We're bringing it to you.
There's not gonna be a lot of information around it. It's not gonna get spread around like wildfire, But it definitely is something to keep looking into, and maybe even keep following the new articles and sources. If you can find out who posted the videos and try to contact them, that'd be cool too. And try and talk with them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't believe when because I thought that this would be debunked. That's what I thought. I thought that we would see this. It's too good to be true. Look at how crazy it looks. Somebody's gonna debunk it right away. Instead, we get not debunking it like in the TikTok stuff and all stuff where they haven't been debunked officially at all.
Yeah.
The excuses are actually quite lame on those, but. There's a lot that we're going to talk about some stuff. I have something to talk about that I think I've quite debunked, looking at a lot of information about it, because that's what we're doing on this show. Basically, if you guys don't know, this show has become me trying to convince Ronnie about aliens, him trying to convince me that they're not.
Well, I wouldn't even really say that, man. Like, I'll take
Ronnie
a logical
wants
stance.
to believe.
I do believe. There's no chance in hell that we're the only
Yeah,
thing
but
here.
have they been here?
Have they been here? Yeah. See, I will take a logical stance towards a lot of them, just to try and be like, well, that's interesting.
And I like that,
that,
and you have rubbed off on me, and now
Yeah.
I am going.
Don't ever say I rubbed off on you.
Wow. All right. Listen, it's 2023. Okay. They are here, Ronnie.
They might rub off.
They're
on
from
you.
outer space, and they're here. I have another clip that I wanted to play for you, and again. Remember what Bob Lazar said, literally quote for quote, and saying, it's not like you see in the movies where they're always a saucer and it's flat where it's moving around. That's when they hover, they can do that. But any time that they're moving, they are sitting up on their side for a moment, sideways, and then they propel themselves in one direction or the other to the left or the right.
So what do you think they're doing when they're sitting up stationary like that? Do you think they're scanning the surrounding area and kind of doing like a topography?
Oh, who
kind of
knows?
like what we do for other planets as well?
Who knows,
where we try
man?
to understand the core of the Earth and, everything like that.
Who's to say? They could be.
Who's to say maybe there's a reason they haven't actually landed because our own atmosphere is so toxic to them that they're having to do the studies to be able to land and introduce.
Well, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things that said that they have landed here. That there's quite a few really credible ones. Ones we'll get into for sure.
True,
on
but
this show.
even the ones that have possibly landed here and everything, they've all died. Whether it be through our reasons.
No.
No?
No.
You don't think so?
No. There's a case that I'm working on for this show that I've heard about for a long. This is another old case where they.
But this is one we'll talk about in a different episode.
In a different episode,
Okay,
but
that's
there's
fair.
one where a UFO had landed in a school in Africa with. Have you ever heard of this? Stop me if you've heard of this. A school in Africa, where they landed and it was seen, and they came out and even spoke to and were right around. About, I forget how many, was it 23 or 30 children that were all from the school out in the playground that saw the thing land there in the woods, came out, they talked to them, teachers saw it as well, so not just the kids in the school.
Also, and you wouldn't be able to get 20, 30 kids to make up
Young
the same
kids.
That's
That's what everybody says
yeah.
about this, and what makes it real special. They also were asked to draw this the very day, the moment it happened,
And they all
people
drew something very
similar.
Yeah.
Said something very similar. Told them, all of them, that they told them the same thing.
Yeah.
They told them the same thing, and were seen by the TV. Now they're grown. They're grown and now, and there's been a recent documentary. They've guys going around and found all these people.
Yeah.
And when he got them to talk about this, some of them didn't want to talk about it. A lot of them did.
Well,
again.
yeah, I mean that's childhood trauma.
A lot of them did again,
Yeah.
and they cried during their interview.
Yeah.
Very emotional stuff, and they're from all different backgrounds. What little white girls, black kids, but all different backgrounds because it's from South Africa, and now they're more grown. They said the same thing back then. They are not connected with each other now, but this guy went around separately to them that agreed to talk about it. Still say the same exact thing.
That's pretty.
As grown adults.
That's pretty crazy. But we'll save the rest of that for a future episode when we can kind of maybe figure out what was said and get the pictures of it and everything.
Let me play you this one.
Like, that one actually, that sounds really fucking interesting.
I
haven't really heard of that.
That's a very
good,
all. Convincing case. Yeah, it's a famous case from back in the day. Okay. Let me play you this clip. Let's see what you think about this. Again, speaking about how Bob Lazar said that they go up onto their side when they're ready to travel. And this guy, a little background, who filmed it over his house, said that he saw the thing go from a saucer to turning on its side, as you'll see in the video here, and then took off into nothingness, pretty much. So he's filming over his house. You can see the roof. This one very clear.
Is this video slowed down?
It slows down. They'll show it to you.
It's very choppy.
There's a slowed down version. There's also a version that'll show it to you in real time. But so here's the real. Yeah, there's both. But so he's
it looks so similar to the Roswell one, the new Roswell one.
I mean, I guess, and
like the light and everything.
Yeah,
and when it gets up onto its side like that.
That's true a little bit.
Yeah.
That's true. So there it is. Like, he's showing you both. So he saw it like, okay, it's a saucer. There it is like that. He's filming it over. Wow, look at that. Now it turns up on his side. And this is before he said that it straight just took off. It took off on him, and he was still able to film it after it took off from very far away.
Yeah.
Where it just almost instantaneously propelled to.
I want to see it shift again.
Yeah, this is trippy. There's a lot of these that are coming out now where they're showing you them.
Honestly, 2023 has been the most active year of
yeah, it's pretty active.
Like,
dude.
man.
It's pretty active. And you know what's so interesting about with UFOs and stuff is here's another one. There's another case.
See, there's something weird about that right there.
Well, that isn't it. It doesn't show it going up to its side.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say because that looked really weird.
It doesn't show it in the video going up to its side.
Yeah. Okay.
There's even another case. There's a lot of cases, but one in particular where there's several, but there's one famous one where it was like the 1800s of a UFO, a crazy craft that crashed. It's like 20 years before the Wright brothers had their first successful flight. So there's nothing in the sky.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the sky.
Nothing that could
so
be.
they report the thing looking like a weird blimp saucer type craft, like a cigar thing, or that's like a skinny blimp. But who cares what it looked like or what they saw? What did they see? They saw something flying?
It was a time in our history where we were not in the sky.
What did they see if they saw something flying and crashed from the sky? Crashed into a judge's yard, destroyed his windmill. Crashed into his yard. No. They said they saw a small body that they described as at that time in the 18 being a Martian and not from this planet. They buried it in the local burial ground. It had since been dug back up and taken away, and nothing's been heard of it. Wow!
Who would have thought?
Wow! Look at that.
Hold on. Almost seems like when something like that happens, these people should just keep them in their homes and shut up about it.
They don't know. Well, you tell somebody. That's the problem. If
Yeah,
you told
it'd
somebody,
be on your
work
mind
this,
so much.
No, but work this out. If you look to like, and a reasonable source and then this and that. If somebody came, they could come. Let's play this out. I want to discuss it in this way. Let's say that you yourself, Ronnie, saw a flying saucer. You had your phone on you. You're alone or you're with people. You're in the country or you're anywhere. Anywhere. You saw a flying saucer. Not only did you see it, but it crashed and you saw even a body. It's like as much proof as you want right in front of your eyes. What would you do?
Tons of pictures.
Okay.
Check.
Check.
I'm a little weird. I'd want to touch it.
Okay.
And would I have prior knowledge of anything else? Like, oh, they're going to take it away. Because if so, I'd probably
you don't
take
have
a...
you would assume whatever you'd assume, knowing the history of... You just see
I'd take
flying
a
saucer
souvenir.
tomorrow and you... Okay.
I'd take a souvenir.
Okay.
To be honest,
Okay.
yes.
And you'd film it a bunch. Who would you tell? What would be the first
The
people that...
closest friends of mine.
So me.
Yes.
All right. And then that's it.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't go around publicly yelling about it, none of that. I'd be like, dude, look at what I found.
Now, if it crashed and it's a crash site, you're aware that like it wouldn't just sit there. They would come and...
Oh, yeah, I'd get my stuff, and then I have nothing to do with it.
Okay.
Because if they find out I have anything to do with
now,
it,
if I told...
I'm disappearing.
So now, do you think that is different from what has happened many, countless other times? Where we end up with evidence of a guy who takes pictures of things, takes videos of things, talks about the things, tells other friends that can recount and tell the truth about what they told them.
I do think it's different. Because they run their mouths too much. And they
Not all of them.
Not all of them.
Not all of them. Some of them.
But a majority.
Some of them do.
Do just talk about it.
Shoot
to
themselves
the
in the foot a little. Or it's fake, whatever. Let's say
Yeah.
that it's real, though. This is for the sake of argument here. There's a lot of people that did the exact same thing as what you're talking about here.
Yeah.
And so what...
I don't think anybody's ever actually taken just like a souvenir for
This is
themselves.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, they have.
Yeah?
Oh, fuck yeah, they have.
I want pictures of those.
Fuck yeah. There's pictures of them.
Are there? We should put some pictures up there on there.
You want to do this right now?
Yes.
Okay.
I do. I would love to actually see some of those souvenir type things, whether it's like, you know, a finger or, you know, a fucking, a weird eyeball from something, but just anything like that. It doesn't have to be a picture of the creature or alien or
No,
anything
you
like
want
that,
some from the craft.
Not even the craft, my friend. But just like, this is this person holding an artifact that they took from the creature they saw from the crash. You're saying if I were to see an actual alien of something, that's what I would want to take a sample of.
Right.
Just for myself. I want to see pictures of shit like that. But I don't know if you'll find anything like that.
What do you want pictures of? You want pictures of the alien?
The actual alien. Not like the whole alien, but you know, like...
Well, listen, there's pictures. I mean, do you want me to bring up the Roswell one? I mean, there's pictures.
No, I guess I'm not saying...
Of plenty of
right.
aliens that are laying on the ground, and then what happens is when they come and the military, who always comes.
Yeah,
by
takes
the way,
it all away, right?
Listen, if there was a blimp, right, or a plane even, or something like, and it crashed, and somebody was mistaken, and they said, this was a UFO, look at this thing, it didn't look like anything, that was not a plane, that was not a blimp, anything, and it was, and it crashed. Look it up. Military doesn't come for that. They don't come there for a blimp crash and anything.
No, that's
the
just
military
fire
doesn't
department.
come. The fire department comes. The local police come.
Ambulance,
That's who comes.
yeah.
The ambulance. That's who comes.
National Guard would.
Maybe the national.
Because
that's
it
who
is a
comes.
tragedy,
They don't
but, yeah.
send in the military. So when you're
National Guard is...
No. They don't send in military
Like
forces
army
and come into the town and shut a whole town down.
No, they definitely wouldn't.
They don't come in and shut the town down for a blimp crash and then say who was on site. find out people that go to their houses, take their stuff.
Yeah.
They don't do that if it's a blimp crashing or something. They're never even on the scene.
See, I can say something about that. Unless it was a military aircraft that was carrying like highly toxic or irradiated materials, they would need to find those people and everything that they had been in contact with. Otherwise, they would be spreading a radiation sickness and everything like that to their families. But that is the only instance.
And speaking of that, as you've gotten us into it, we're gonna get into this.
Yeah? Oh, yeah? Oh, boy, he's busting out the notes. Yeah. This man's got pages!
Get ready. All right. Have you ever heard of the Ketzberg UFO, Ronnie?
I have.
What do you know about the Ketzberg
Literally
UFO?
only kind of like little blips of what you've told me.
Okay.
Like barely anything.
But you had heard of it before I told you about it. You
said
the
Ketzberg one is the bell, right? It looks like the bell, yeah.
Yeah. So what did you hear about that when you first, what do you remember about it?
Literally just the shape of it.
The shape that it looked like an acorn or a bell. Okay. So the Ketzberg UFO, basically, here's what we got. And I've done a lot of looking into this because we just want to be fair. And so I think that what will make the show better is when I show you really cool videos, new videos of UFOs, when we talk about certain subjects that I'll research and go over. When I want to do the Bob Lazar episode, which I'll talk to you about, I want it to be all the more valuable because of the fact that I don't believe everything that I hear.
Yeah.
So the Ketzberg UFO is basically, in December 9th of 1965, a huge asteroid-like object makes its way over Canada, Ohio, western Pennsylvania. Thousands of people see it through those several states and other countries. And it is said to have traveled in an S-shaped sort of strange path that would not dignify the trajectory of a normal UFO. This S-shaped path it takes means that it wasn't an asteroid. Along with it, not flaming, but actually glowing more, reports start coming in from Ketzberg, which is a small town outside of Pittsburgh, about 30 miles outside of Pittsburgh, that something crashed in the woods. To further mystify this incident, most reporters, witnesses actually don't say it crashed, but rather it landed in a controlled sort of landing. Witnesses go on to see it, including police, who say that it was 10 feet tall, acorn-shaped, and glowing in a purplish sort of blue color, pulsating the color. Strange markings along the base of it, which witnesses say they can make out that weren't any sort of language they could understand. Within hours, military comes without any sort of insignia on their military, patches or badges or whatever. They kick everyone out of the area, including local police, who were then on the scene, but not anymore once the military came. And many claim that these people, when asked who they were or what their authority was, said they were NASA. Okay, which is even more creepy. But when asked who they were, that's what they said. Many people see them carry out this acorn-shaped, glowing, hot, sort of craft on the back of a flatbed from when they were kicked out of the area and immediately went to it. Hundreds of people who heard about this on the news while it was going around and no one knew what it was, followed this thing and went to this small town of Ketzberg, which only has about that many people in population, maybe 1,000 some odd people. Yeah. Hundreds of people swarmed this town and were involved in this incident, which made it kind of literal. But literally, the official explanation for all of this is that nothing happened. And nothing was recovered from the woods. Nothing landed there. Nothing was recovered from the woods. Yet in 2005, we get a statement from NASA that these scientists did analyze metal materials that were taken from the crash site, from the object, and that it was a downed Soviet space probe, which prior to this, people said this could be a Soviet space probe, and they said there's no chance. All the experts, NASA themselves, who now came out and said it was a space probe, originally said there's no chance. Based on the time frame that it happened and the location that it landed in, there is no chance that it was any attempted launched Soviet space probe and/or satellite. Based on the expert opinion, they basically said this was impossible. Now, NASA's own cataloging system says that there should be 2 boxes full of documents that they had about this Kecksburg incident and when they studied the materials from it. But at some point between then and now, they've gone missing. Ronnie, this, before you talk about your space stuff, is not the first time that NASA has the worst cataloging system ever known to man.
Right.
As many of their things, pictures from space, they just go missing sometimes.
So I'm actually very curious about one thing. You said it was glowing, right?
Yeah.
Like a purplish,
Bluish color, yeah.
bluish color, right?
Yeah.
Who's to say it wasn't an attempt at a nuclear, like, not a nuclear reactor, like a fission reactor or something like that?
Yeah. We're going to get to that.
Because that is a very big, it could have been the core of a reactor. Because when you look at the fusion reactors and everything, that is the color.
That's very...
Is the blue and purples.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, Leslie Keane, who is a UFO researcher, kind of spearheaded this effort based on the Freedom of Information Act to get documents from
God
NASA.
bless the USA.
Yeah, from NASA, who said the documents were missing all these years, who only then finally said, when pressured to under the Freedom of Information Act, that the files are missing, and they went missing in particular between the years of 1987 and then have not been located since then, around 1987. Now, here's another funny incident that, yet again, a lot of these people saying it had markings they couldn't make out, the color of it that is pulsating, glowing, the thing landed, nobody knew what it looked like, couldn't have been, so these are all taken, military comes, they commandeer people's farmhouses that are around the area. They make the kids in the family go upstairs and they
especially
do
if it was a nuclear reactor, that would make sense.
So listen, another thing that made this mystified, and this is the reason why these things become
fortified,
crucified, mortified, horrified. All right, so listen, this is another thing that make these cases. You got to understand though, what this is important to understand. What makes cases that could be explained? I'm presenting it in a way to you where all these things are very reasonable along the way. Why people think something is fishy here.
Yeah.
Okay, a reporter. His name was John Murphy. He was a man who was he was on the scene when it crashed before the military got there. Supposedly he was the first on the scene, and took dozens of photographs. Tried to put together a documentary, which he successfully got a deal with, showing these photographs ahead of time, with his exact story and all of the pictures. But before the documentary was aired, the military came to his house. They raided his house. They flipped his house. They seized all of his pictures, all of his notes, everything related to the Kecksburg acorn.
Okay, I heard about that part. Yeah,
and also redacted almost everything out of his documentary till the point where it had 0 pictures and 0 mention of anything landing in the woods, which is the entire documentary is about that. But John Murphy assured and swore to people, I still have pictures that they didn't get, and I will show you them. And then he suddenly dies under mysterious circumstances in a hit-and-run accident of which nobody was ever arrested for.
Oh, so he got suicided.
So, these are the things that make up a UFO case, because it is not crazy people. These are townspeople, people from outside the town. They heard about this crazy thing, they want to see it. They get there, they see something crazy.
Yeah.
Then they see the military come and kick them out, which would automatically make you think, what the hell is going on? Instantly. You see them seize people's houses. You have a guy that says, don't worry, I took pictures. They seize his stuff. They take all his pictures. They're never heard from. The pictures were never released of it. Although I will put up some pictures that are supposed Ketzberg acorn photographs that are out, possibly from John Murphy. But all these things tie in together. Now, here's the deal. When did this take place? Right? Let's go back. When did this take place, Ronnie? In 1965. Prime time for the Cold War.
Yeah, it was a race, not only the race to the moon, but a race for technology.
Race for technology.
And like the
race to space.
Spies and everything. So, I mean...
A nuclear disaster on the horizon during the Cold War. This is the time
why
when...
I would not say that would be a UFO case, but more a case of them trying to come up with a new type of weapon. And taking pictures of military weapons and everything. Obviously, the military is going to swoop in,
or not even
steal
a weapon,
all your shit,
or not even a weapon.
But
how about the
just,
head of a satellite? How
power.
about the pod that would go into space? How about how that if that was going on
the core
now,
of the reactor,
they would tell somebody this would have never happened.
No.
Now, this exact sort of case. Because of the fact that they would have said, this is something that fell from this country. They tried to launch a probe.
Yeah, because we have so much up in there already, and
and because we're not, and you know what? Who knows? Even now, we're at war with Russia again, so I shouldn't even really say that. Both these times with Russia is kind of similar, actually, because when you say the Cold War, it's a war that actually didn't have hundreds of thousands of people die in an actual war. It was a spying effort.
It was an information war.
It was an information war. It was a spying effort. It's an arms race, a race to space. It's a race for power, which brought the wall down. We all know the story with that. Now, given that this was in that time frame, I'm very convinced that this was a Russian probe. And the reason why they said originally this couldn't have been a Russian probe is because they did not want us to know that Russia could successfully launch a probe. Well, not successfully, even in this case, but try to launch probes that would literally spy on us.
Plus, I mean, the writing on the
bottom
thing itself kind of looks like Sanskrit. But
best described by the witnesses as closest thing they could relate it to is Sanskrit.
It looks a lot like Russian writing.
Sanskrit looks a lot like Russian writing. Russian lettering. And go and look that up as well. The acorn shape of it, literally what the tip of a probe looks like.
Right.
And I'll put up pictures of that.
I still don't think it would be a probe. It was a time of us trying to build weaponry. Who's to say that it wasn't supposed to have been a nuclear weapon that they were going to drop, and that's why it was so burning hot, and when it hit the ground, it just failed. It was a dud. And it was still burning hot from the atmosphere.
I've read something about this as well. Don't you have nuclear things going on in probes, and when you launch things into space, isn't that a part of it?
Not really. I don't think so.
The energy that would propel it up. Rockets they use is basically what they said, and that's why it would burn bluish, purplish, which you said is like a nuclear kind of way that things go. That's part of
fission reaction.
Fission reaction, I've heard, is part of what they would use then as trying to propel things up into space.
I mean, that's fair.
And so that would be the reason that it... And they
I guess I would have to
said that it was glowing bluish, but glowing hot, a bluish then. So coming out from the atmosphere and back in.
Which is how we do launch nukes nowadays, too. Yeah. Is we send them straight up.
Yeah.
And it's all trajectory.
And so if you had this Cold War thing going on, and let's explain, like, the guy, like, listen, that guy's death, no one's ever been arrested for that. Unfortunately, this is kind of some of the things that are taken very seriously by all governments, not just us, but that you hear like, oh, Putin and Russia, they kill people. They absolutely do. He kills people, not just in wars, but like in meetings with other, heads of state and things. He has literally assassinated people. So we hear all about that because we'd love to shit on him and say that, oh, and, like, how horrible is that? Listen, we do the same things. We do the same thing.
Oh, no one's ever innocent.
And
None of us are ever innocent.
we absolutely would have killed this guy if we went and first tried to even seize his house, as first trying to not. And then he's swearing that he'll show pictures of this thing. And we know what? We absolutely, mark my words, would have killed this guy.
Yeah.
The government. Absolutely. These things have happened before, and we
in
have
a series
proof
of information.
I don't want to hear because we have like so many cases of proof of it, dude. It's not a conspiracy that the government will literally, if it comes to it, they don't like to do it. They don't do it willy-nilly either. I just want to say this.
Yeah.
I want to make my point clear.
Yeah,
I'm
fair.
not saying I'm crazy and like, oh, we'll go around just... Like, they actually do take it very seriously. Even one guy of 400 million people, they take it seriously. They don't want to kill their own citizens, but if it comes to it, and they can't have something get out, and they try to seize everything, they try to threaten, they try to blackmail. If somebody's going to continue to push against the grain and it comes down to it, we will murder our own
You're
citizens.
making the same point I was just about to make, actually.
Yeah.
Was in the height of an informational war, any civilian with information about said anything like that is a what's the word I'm looking for there is a not treasonous, it's a liability to our country.
Yes.
So
liability.
Yeah. So I fully agree with that, yes.
But yeah,
we would kill our own in the sense of preserving our own information. And
I just think that that Ketzberg thing was a good one to give you guys to kind of show you that I take the stuff fairly.
And look at the videos and the pictures and everything we'll put up.
Look up the story for yourself.
Get in the comments too. Let us know what you're thinking of it.
Yeah.
And, tell us like, oh, if you got some other information, don't share it.
I originally heard about this case and the general things of the military coming, that it looked weird. There was a bunch of witnesses. They come to people, this guy getting murdered, them taking a thing away on a flatbed and pictures of that, and then literally saying, we took nothing out of it, and thought, this is a good one. But I looked at it with some fair eyes, and I don't think that. So when I'm going to do this Bob Lazar one for you, when we are going to do a very, very special Bob Lazar one, when we're going to do a very special Roswell one, those kinds of cases I take very seriously as well, and I fully believe them.
Yeah, this one was a case of debunked.
But I looked at,
not even debunked.
Debunked kind of.
Yeah.
I look at these things with fair eyes. I think that is pretty much solved, and so it's good to show, that there's differences.
Yes.
Like and then I'm not going to believe every one. So when I'm going to
not everything is a UFO.
Not everything is a UFO. And so when I'm going to present to you like ones that are really I want it to mean more by then, when you guys are listening to these and hearing that we're taking it fairly. That being said, it's time. It's time for Ronnie to talk about his stars.
All right.
Stars and bars, baby.
Stars and bars.
And Ronnie also is not beyond killing citizens.
As long as they don't share my information.
Yes. Well, let me guide him in here. He once worked for NASA as an executive prostitute for NASA astronauts. Ronnie...
you gotta relieve him somehow.
Ronnie spearheaded a Government Freedom Information Act himself about
It's
the
actually called the
secret-
Freedom of Prostitution
Yeah,
Act.
yeah. Well, about the about the secret space programs, and how he battled Nazis, Nazi werewolves, vampires, and
Now, mind you,
space
I'm
squids.
only 27, but I was there with the Nazis fighting.
You
the
were a
werewolves.
ninja, yes?
No, I was a samurai.
Oh, yeah. There is a big difference.
There,
And you were on Venus, not Mars.
correct.
Okay. Let's hear you talk about
So,
it.
first things first, I'm just gonna spit out a space fact to you guys. Do you know what the largest known star is called, Tom?
I do not.
No?
No.
So the largest known star is called UY Scuti.
Is that the North Star?
No.
No, because not just visible to us. But
Right. So this star, it is classified as a red hypergiant, and it does sit close to the center of the Milky Way galaxy, you know, about 9,500 light years away from Earth. But it has a radius around 1,700 times larger than the sun. Which means you could fit nearly 5 billion of our suns inside of Scotty.
No way, dude.
Yes.
Wow.
And yeah, that's fucking insane. I'll get some pictures to pull up on there too, so you guys can kind of see what I think an
Right.
artist rendition of
God.
Scotty is. But 5 billion of our own suns fit inside this thing. It's so impossible to just even visualize how big that is.
Jesus.
To be honest, man.
What makes a star, Ronnie? I'm not being silly here. I really don't know about this stuff. Like, why isn't not a planet?
So I guess. Oh wow, that's actually a really good question.
Curveball.
Curveball.
It's not a planet.
It is not a planet. It's usually more like a ball of hot gas. That's why it's like hydrogen atoms.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A gas giant.
In a way, it releases such an amount of energy that it heats the gas, and it's actually considered nuclear fusion. I'm doing a quick Google search on this one because I didn't know.
He's getting on his phone.
Yeah,
Okay.
I am. I did not know the answer to that one. But as the hot gas pushes outward, it opposes the inward pull of gravity, which balances. This creates a balance of forces, and that's what makes it a star. So a star is the center. So like our star, right? The sun is our center.
Right.
And all the planets orbit that star due to its gravity.
Okay.
So what makes a star is the planets around it, pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
And generally, stars would be bigger than planets.
Correct. And actually, that leads me into something kind of neat. Which article was it? Because there was a whole new thing about newborn planets that are stirring up dust around a younger star. See, in 2017, astronomers had found this huge shadow that was sweeping across a disk of dust and gas, encircling a younger star named TW Hydrae. And the shadow cast by the inner disk of dust and gas tilted everything around it. You know, I have pictures. I'll put it on there. It looks fucking crazy. Look at that. How cool is that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's the beginning of a new star.
That's the gravitational pull around it, kind of?
Pretty much, yes. But all of that dust and everything in there, they're starting to find mini planets. In that, so there's unseen planets warping the disk structure. And that's what's making it look so awkward.
Ronnie, wow. What's the one, and because I've heard about
Yeah.
and I forget if you showed me this or if I just came across this, where they know how the gravitational pull should be like almost even around when they see things, like they orbit, however long it is, far away the gravitational pull is or not,
Right.
it's like an even circle, but
No.
they found... Yeah, well, no is right, but like they always kind of thought that for most, but there's
They did
one.
for a while, yeah.
There's one that they found where it's like the pull isn't even equal. Like it's
Yeah.
it's like an oval more than a circle, but then it actually will get more back into a circle, and then at a certain point go back into an oval. And so they were wondering, why the hell is the gravitational pull? Is this a planet, or it's a planet? But what they were thinking was, is there another star, another thing that is pulling it in
Right,
another
so
direction when it gets close, that makes it go longer out before it
The
comes
only
back
thing I'm
in.
thinking of with that would be Pluto, to where it has kind of an ovalish thing pulled to it, and it does get close to another one, which trajects it quicker.
Yeah.
But that's the only one I can really think of, to be honest.
Okay.
I don't know anything else about on that. I'd have to actually do
Yeah, there was
a
one,
little more
I mean, you might be
research
right.
and-
It might be that. But there was one that were wondering, like, what the hell is there something outside of this that we don't see that has its own gravitational pull? So, because only when it gets to one side of its orbit does it get pulled out farther away before it comes back in.
So it could be getting closer to another
Thing with the gravitational pull,
another star or a heavier planet.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, but it's still able to stay within its actual orbit.
Mm-hmm.
But you can even look up pictures of TW Hydra. They use the Hubble telescope to look up obviously the pictures of it and everything.
Yeah.
And see it. But that one I found very fascinating. It's a pancake-shaped disc. Like, it's so fucking cool to me. But moving off from that one, there was this... Let me get back to it because you had me Googling shit.
Yeah! I'm throwing Ronnie off, and I love that.
Yeah, I had a whole rhythm. It's gone.
I'm going to do that now.
Hey, it's gone.
From now on, I'm going to do that.
It's cool. But, you know what? I'm just going to skip right around that. If we were to ever make it to any of these other planets,
Yeah.
Mars, if you're even go past Mars to find some of these Earth-like planets and everything, there is a new study that has been being done on mice and rats through ultrasound technology to knock them into a hibernation type state, or also known as a tupor. I don't know how to pronounce the word. Torpor. But in a sense, they're trying to...
Cryo sleep?
Not cryo, because cryo deals with freezing you.
Okay.
This is an ultrasound. So it's a sound that's supposed to put your brain into a hibernative state.
Wow.
And in this state, not only would it be for, like, space travel, but it could be used in medical advancement as well. So if somebody's all of a sudden having a heart attack, they'd be able to put them into this chamber, put these ultrasonic sounds into them, and it would put them into a hypernative state, which would lower the average body temperature to about 6.25 degrees Fahrenheit and reduce the oxygen consumption. So what they've been able to find, what happens with rats and other animals that do go into hibernative states, is that they don't consume as much oxygen through their blood. So they only ever really have to breathe every 10 minutes, one breath.
A rat.
A rat.
And
And
correct me,
it slows their heartbeat from hundreds of beats per minute to just a handful of beats.
So I was going to say, does not a rat's heart beat way faster than
faster.
ours?
Oh, hella fast.
So if they take one breath 10 minutes, that means ours would be equivalent to...
Probably more.
You know,
I mean, 10 minutes, we'd probably take a breath every hour. Maybe
that's
even longer.
Crazy.
But it is still a study
And then
that's only being done on animals.
But obviously, that's how all these studies start.
Always mice and rats.
Unfortunately. I'm a vegetarian, by the way. I don't know, but listen. They always start with the animal tests and stuff. But so when you're saying they've done this test, real quick, does this mean that they've done the test where you just said, and they do it, it works where they're alive, they're breathing only once every 10 minutes. Have they gotten them back out of this state and then they're fine?
Yes.
Yes. Wow.
So, it's all just about the
Unreal.
sound. It is a constant emitted sound that puts you into the
Yeah, but and they can take you out and get you back to normal.
And they're right back to how they were.
That's fucking crazy.
But there is a very weird thing about it with like sleep patterns. So like even with bears, how they, not bears.
Yeah, bears hibernate, Ronnie.
Yeah, but I'm thinking of a different animal at the time. I can't remember what it was. But there are other animals that hibernate, but they don't get good sleep. So they have to wake up to go to sleep to get that proper like REM cycle. Okay. Very strange, which could be something that we would have to do as well, where we would go into that hibernative state for so long.
I mean, do you guys want to go to space or not? I mean, that's my question to you. I mean,
are you telling me that
there's no single mothers out there that are working night shifts and not getting good sleep? I mean, do they want to go to space? Let's go.
But it's a thing of like, however far you're traveling, it may slow our metabolism to where we don't have to eat. It'll slow our oxygen intakes where we don't have to breathe as much.
Right.
And everything.
Everything is slowed
but
if you're alive.
Would it slow our aging process?
Ooh.
Yeah. Because if it were to slow our aging process, that would be a very key thing that we could do in this day and age to almost emit immortality.
Wow.
Or at least extend the longevity of life.
Is this something in the articles you've read here about this?
This is my own opinion.
Ooh, yeah. Okay.
This is my own theory.
It slows everything so far that they've looked at.
It does. It will slow everything to the metabolic.
Metabolism, breathing,
but will it slow your own cells is the thing.
Wow.
And that's the hardest part about getting for the space travel. Because if you're going on a 100-year-long journey...
Yeah, you're going to be dead anyway.
By the time you get there.
That's crazy.
But the medical advancement for this...
I like the way your brain is working on that one, for real.
Yeah, but the medical advancements of it, also really cool.
Yes.
If somebody starts having a heart attack,
helpful
you throw them into that, it slows their metabolism, slows their heart rate.
We want to go and see aliens on other planets, dude. That's what the fuck we want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, will it slow the aging? I love that. That is pretty phenomenal. Let me ask you a question real quick on this subject. I'm not actually joking. How I always joke with that. I'm not joking. You have said to me before, I don't even believe it was on this podcast yet, but you have said to me before, when I show you pictures of things and you go, well, a lot of times I don't believe it when it looks like what we'd expect an alien to look like. If there's a video, a picture, and anything, and or depictions in general, like of let's say the Greys. Is that correct? Like the 4 foot tall, big heads, and they're gray, big eyes. You know, and you're like, because that's what they look like in the movies. So I tend not to believe that. Like, why would they look like they looked in the movies? So
I'm gonna interrupt you here because you did ask me like if they come out of that state normally. Okay. I found the part of this article that was doing it. Okay. So I'm just gonna read this. So it's saying by repeating the ultrasound bursts every time the mice's body temperature is increased above a target level, scientists have been able to keep the mice in these torpor-like states for up to 24 hours without any signs of injury or discomfort. And when it was switched off, within about 90 minutes, normal body temperature and levels of activity recovered.
Wow. Yeah. They did it.
They did do it.
They did it.
And so far, it's been done with 12 rats, and the device caused rats. I mean, dude, it's so perfect, and it's working on mammals, and I don't know how long it's gonna be.
You know, we need to loosen up on the people stuff. Like, I do get that you work on the rats, you do these things, but then like part of the problem of this is to be honest.
I mean, there's
this
a lot.
This is my own opinion as all this
Shutting your brain off like that is dangerous, though. It can definitely cause a lot of memory loss.
They're doing it to the animals, and then good reason, whatever. You're doing it to them first. You do it, and it works. Who's stepping up? Don't we have a thing you can... Right, like Ronnie's raising his hand over here. Bro. Don't we have something in place where people... I mean, I know you can sign a paper. You can, like, volunteer for a thing. The problem is that we do get in the way of our own... There is 8 billion of us. If somebody on their own free will would want to do these things, which you will always, out of all of us, 9 billion people, whatever there is now. I mean, you will always find somebody who will volunteer for something, for huge advancements.
Oh man, if I
technology.
could like take myself into a scientist and be like, hey, fucking do this to me right now. I want to see if it works. I don't care the risks.
Depending on what, yeah.
Give my
depending
family,
on like
give my family a good settlement if anything happens to me.
Yeah,
Like,
there's always going to be people who are willing to do that, and then
Yes.
we get in our own way where we go, no, it's a person, like, so they can't even sign something on their own free will to want to do it.
It's a moral factor.
Yeah, but that's getting in the way, because what is morality if you're not forcing somebody into something? If somebody is very willing to...
If you were to step away from that morality, you know how crazy things would start to get.
How advanced we would start to get quickly.
We would advance quick, but it could cause a hell of a lot of problems too. You know what I'm saying? Like, because that morality's gone, and then all of a sudden people are just taking people
I don't
off the
agree.
street.
No, I don't agree with that, because
there's evil. There is always evil people in the world.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing.
They will forge documents.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing.
People.
See, here's the thing is, if you had evil people that were willing to, there's always going to be evil people in the world. Evil people.
Why not use it for like death row inmates?
Ronnie, people that are evil right now, people that were evil in Hitler and the Nazis that did all these experiments, is because he could, and so he just do it, and nobody agreed to shit. It's just torture and taking people off the streets. And nowadays, we don't see that you can have an entire government that is run that way without the world ganging up and shutting them down, but you will always have evil people. You will have the science. This isn't even necessarily evil, in my opinion, but you had the guy that was like, I believe that if people want to die, they should, and so he'd euthanize them, even though that was illegal. You will always have people...
And now it is legal.
You will always
in some states.
You will always have people that will do what they want to do anyway, and so regardless of what rules we make, you will have that. So there is no harm in making a rule where people can, they
sign a form.
Yeah, sign a form, make a video, do all the steps you'd want them to do to advance
so
technology.
Like right now,
if they
it is
agree
legal
to
in some states where it is the Death with Dignity Act.
Yeah.
Where if you are of sound mind and you are able to take the medication, you are allowed to sign paperwork and commit suicide if you have a terminal illness.
Right.
Now, what about death row inmates? There's tons of them. And
I'd rather die.
What do you mean?
I'd rather die than live my life in prison.
No, they're on death row. They're gonna die regardless. They're gonna be euthanized.
Yeah.
Why not have those kinds of people given the option to sign a piece of paper to undergo those types of scientific studies?
And maybe give their family money, too.
Exactly.
Make it even more dignified.
Exactly.
To do.
That way it's not just, hey, fuck you, you're dead now. Like, sure, they did terrible things, but they could at least do one contribution to society before they died.
And their family. Give their family money.
Like, that's something to think about. That's
it really is. That's the way my mind works about things, too. And it'd still be their choice.
It would be, yeah.
I mean,
they give you the choice. How do you want to die?
You're gonna die anyway.
Here's your what do you want your last meal to be?
Listen, what we're talking about on this is like putting people into a state where everything is slowed and their heart rate is slow. It's like not going to be painful. No, we know that because that's not how that works. Slowing your heart rate.
It's
and
not
your
even an injection. It's nothing going into your body. It's all just by sound.
It's by sound, but. Even if it wasn't, I think it's slowing your heart. That's like how euthanasia works anyway. Yeah. And then these are to slow it to a degree where you'd even stay alive.
Yeah, and then you just stop breathing.
But, yeah. So let me bring this back real quick. You're talking about how they're doing studies where they can put rats into a state through sound where their metabolism and their heart rate and everything and oxygen is slowed all the way down And this sounds like a lot from like movies that I've seen and putting people into doing space travel and going through space
Right.
and
A lot of the space stuff is through cryogenic sleep.
Cryogenic, but whatever.
Which they
this
still
is,
do.
Yeah,
I
they
mean,
still
yeah,
do that,
that
as
is
well.
a real thing
so
as
these
well.
these things are straight out of movies. And you have once said that to me that when shown pictures of aliens and videos and things and what they could look like, or is this one real, or is that, you said, I don't really believe mostly any of these ones. Not that you don't believe any of them, but you don't believe the ones where they look like grays. 4 feet tall, long arms, big head, and big black eyes. And because why would they look like what we see in the movies? My question to you would be, I am of a belief that a lot of movies that were made already long ago, when all of this stuff was only science fiction, there were supposedly, who knows if there were tests, but no public information about any sort of test, even to see if this stuff could be real. All purely science fiction to space travel and put people into a state where they're sleeping and aliens and how they would look and spacecraft of alien space and how they would look and all these things. They came from a source and put in a lot of movies that most of them coincide with each other. Do you not think that there was a hand-in-hand kind of a relationship where movies, famous producers and directors who are very well-to-do and in touch with the most well-to-do people, the A-class Hollywood list of people in the world, of scientists, doctors, actors, musicians, anything, anybody, they know the people that other people don't know. And I have always believed that there's a reason why things look, a lot of times in most movies, very big movies, like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, like all these things, like where there is a big reason why things look the way that they do, and that it's not so much of a coincidence when later on we see, now there's tests of they're putting rats and maybe try to move the people to put them into a stasis where they can travel through space and only have to breathe, once an hour or something like that, and their heartbeats, and that there's a reason why we see all these videos of people in Hollywood and old movies made in the 80s, a lot of them, that are now coming to, wow, look at how it looks like that. It looks just like
you want to know why I don't really like.
What?
Like, okay, it could go hand in hand, sure, and there could be a type of life form that does look like that, but it is so overplayed and done on like 90% of the movies that I just do not feel like that's what aliens would ever look like.
Well, that would be,
because here's a couple of examples of other extraterrestrial type movies that have done it in a way that's so different that makes it seem so much more realistic to me. The Chronicles of Riddick. Do you remember the aliens in the Chronicles of Riddick where they just
I do. That was a good movie. The first
fucking
one
insane,
was
right?
a very good movie.
Now, those are unintelligent type aliens, right?
Predatory,
predatorial
animals,
aliens.
like a tiger here.
Kind of like the movie Alien, right?
Yes.
So that's why I feel like if they're coming here, it's not going to be the little gray dudes. I really don't feel like it would be.
If they're coming here,
I feel like they would not look like us in a sense at all. If
they're coming here, they wouldn't be like alien or like
they wouldn't be a predatorial
aliens.
alien. No,
they
no,
wouldn't be unintelligent.
That's not what I'm getting at with that. I feel like it's so overplayed that they're all gray and all weird and everything like that. I don't think that's how it would be. Why would they all be gray? They all come from different planets with different atmospheres.
They wouldn't all be gray, but that would be a sort of them that maybe we've seen.
That's fair. That is fair. It could be a type that we have seen. But why would it be the only ones that come here?
No, it's not the only ones. You just mentioned other ones in Hollywood movies.
No, not even that. Why would it be the only one? Why would the little gray dudes be the only ones that we've seen and have only ever came to Earth and everything like that? Why haven't there been other sightings
because if you are taking a realistic approach to this,
yeah,
and you, like we do on this podcast, and you're saying that you're not beyond believing that maybe something has come here. What are the odds of if they have that there's been
What
one
about
or
octopi?
two of them?
Octopus.
Yeah, but
Bro, you
what
could
are,
find things
I
that
know,
are more tenderly.
I know,
and
but
weird,
what
yeah.
about what about if you, because you could easily believe that there's alien life out there, but nothing's ever been here, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so what about if one has been here, there's been one, and somebody that was in the know that had seen one of these things had described them,
and that's what they base.
and that is what they've based them on. And what about the technology you're talking about as well, even beyond like the alien?
Well, that's
the alien
a whole
thing.
separate thing, dude.
No.
It really is. It's not tied in. Technology
No, it's not tied
is
into
technology.
aliens.
Okay.
What I'm saying is the Hollywood idea of that they make movies based off of getting literally
based off
information,
of a hypothesis,
not a hypothesis, information from another person that they know as they are the elites of Hollywood, and literally do know many high-powered government officials. Literally do know the best scientists in the world. They literally have dinner with these people.
Yeah.
They are the elite as well. And if they have ever seen, if there has been one fucking time, maybe Roswell, maybe something, where you had a crash and somebody told one of these people at dinner, yeah, I'm not going to do no interviews with you, but this is how they looked. I seen one of these fucking things, and this is how it looked. And then they are free to go and make a movie that is not a documentary, that is a movie about these things. And the technology part is not to be connected with aliens. It's just that person as well, to say, oh, and we went into space and stuff, and so we put them in the cryosleep. I mean, if you were going to make, with these things coming to fruition now, and us seeing these things play out in front of our eyes, that were from movies that were made in the 60s, 70s, 80s.
Back in the 60s, we never would have thought a cryosleep would have been a real thing.
Somebody thought one, and I doubt that the world's greatest scientists struggled to go out of their way to not do the easiest path to what they could naturally do to make something like a Hollywood director did in a movie. I more think the Hollywood director heard something from somebody that they were at dinner with that said, we can do this. As far as technology, this would be the way that we'd go into space, and then that's why they didn't take creative liberties. They took that and said, this will be more interesting. This guy knows that we can do this. This is how I'm going to show that we can travel through space and people can be sleeping in a cryo kind of state.
And now we're getting to a point.
Now we're getting
to
that kind of point. I think that all those movies that you've seen with gray aliens and people talking about grays, a lot of them are lying. Some of them are telling the truth. But there was a guy that sat down at a dinner table with Steven Spielberg or somebody that was making Close Encounters of the Third. I want to make an alien movie, and this guy said, "I know what they look like. They look like this," and that's the reason why he did that, and that it's no coincidence. I don't think that because you see the fact that we see that with technology. What you just talked, that with technology is technology, like you said. I don't want it to be connected with the aliens. The only way I connect it is that technology is something we need to manufacture and make real in front of our eyes, and we're actually doing that. And that's the same shit you've seen in movies for many decades before we thought this was so. You can only connect it in that way with the aliens.
I guess that's true.
Would you not have as well? Now we're seeing all the aliens. Why would they look like in the movies? Well, because there was one great movie made by one great man who sat down at a dinner table one night with somebody that had actually seen these fucking things.
And you know something I just thought of too? There's the whole conspiracy of the Illuminati and lizard people. And whatnot, right?
Lizard people.
Maybe those are a different type of alien other than the Greys, right? That are able to mimic.
I mean, if you want to get into that, there's lizard people, there's Nordic people. You ever heard of the Nordic aliens?
I mean, Nordic...
Never? I mean, there's way more than one case.
There's still people that live in Norway.
Yep. And they're supposed to look like that. They look like us. And they have long hair, and they're tall and pale, and they're people. and they look like Nordic people. That's why they call them Nordic aliens. That's another one.
Is it?
Yes, it is. And there's many.
Well, I guess we
cases
will have
with
to
those
talk.
people as
You know
well.
what? I
So
guess we'll
that's-
have to kind of continue that.
But I don't like to get down those rabbit holes so much. Because I want to base this up, but
True.
if you
You
want
don't
to,
want-
if
you
you
don't
want to
wanna
bring
go
these things
full
up,
conspiracy,
there's a lot
man.
of different aliens. I mean, you yourself mentioned, the Riddick aliens, the alien from Aliens. You know, there's
Right.
a lot of different. How
I'm talking about movie aliens,
Okay,
but like
movie
conspiracy aliens.
How
I
about
was more thinking-
Arrival? They look like octopi. They look like octopuses. Yeah, octopuses. How about Arrival? There is a lot of different ones. They're not always grays, but I actually think there's something to the fact of the gray alien one, because I actually think that that's most likely what crashed in Roswell, New Mexico, which they say it did.
Maybe,
and I
maybe
think
that's what the new
and
video
that was in
in
and that was in the 40s, and I think that is what inspired a lot of these movies. Is that they said that then, they say that now, and I think that people that are in the know, that have got to talk to people that are in the military, some of these people are still alive. They're dying quickly, actually, from that Roswell event, because it was in 47.
Yeah.
So a lot of those
They're
people
old.
who were young men are dead, or young women,
Yeah.
but some of them are still alive.
80 years
they're
ago
in their
almost,
they're
right?
they're,
Yeah.
they're in their 80s or 90s, and they
No,
talk
not in their 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
Those people would have been 20 or so back then.
Well,
in
maybe
the
there's
40s.
a girl that's in her 80s that was a kid back then,
Yeah.
and she is the daughter of the guy that owned the farm that the
But
event
no,
happened on.
I was just saying that
She
I
talks
kind of
about it
contradicted myself with saying that. Oh, why is it always have to be
I
the
think
grays?
that it's meaningful
But then
that it is.
then I started
I think it's
thinking more
meaningful
about.
it is.
And then I started thinking more about the conspiracy side of like, oh well, maybe there's lizard people, which could be another form of alien that's
Yeah,
able
but not
to
even to get.
shapeshift.
Yeah, but see, there's levels
Yeah.
to that too, Ronnie.
Yeah.
There's levels to the things of like, okay, if you believe in the gray aliens, that's the most acceptable thing.
It
if
is.
you step outside of that and you believe in Nordic, it's like,
See,
all
I
right,
want
we're
you
getting
to-
into. And then if you go outside of that and you go into lizard people, now you're really fucking out there. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm trying to
Well, I'm
hold this
not call-
podcast together here.
I'm not calling
as somebody
it
who
actual,
does believe in aliens.
I'm not calling it actual lizard people.
Yeah, but even
But
that they
I
look
want
like
you
that.
to understand something here that I'm trying to say.
How about this?
What if they're from a desert planet,
Yeah.
Tom?
Yeah.
Where they are
maybe.
the only type of thing they can be.
There's
is to have
another
a
one.
Type of
There's
lizard
another
skin.
one too.
Yeah.
There's another one too. Praying
But-
man. I'm not joking. This actually
heard
isn't
of the
a joke.
praying
The
mantis
praying
ones.
mantis insect ones.
I've heard of those.
That's another one.
Honestly,
but
that's
now we're
kind of
get-
like the Riddick ones.
You want them to be like that, but yet that's the farthest out conspiracy.
That's
and the
not
most
what I want 'em-
reasonable.
that's not what I
is that
want 'em
They
to
would
look
look
like.
like us, but just slightly like, because they're intelligent, so they'd have a big head, right? A head enough to hold a brain that's intelligent. They'd be
Your
they-
your head doesn't have to be huge to hold intelligence.
Our heads are big.
Humans only use like a fraction of their brains.
Our heads are big, we're intelligent. Dolphins' heads and brains are big, they're intelligent. Elephants' heads and brains are big, they're intelligent. Octopus are
Right.
intelligent, their heads and
But
brains.
why would they look
that's
so
how it works.
humanistic? That's my point.
Well, their heads would be big.
Right.
They would need digits to work with, to do things with. They would need
So you're
digits
thinking like
and
a
not
human.
walk on. No, not necessarily. Even if it was like an octopus, they would need to be able to touch things, do things. They would need to be able to do things. They would need to be able to interact with things. They couldn't be something that was just so running around and smashing into. They'd need to be able to interact.
Telekinesis.
Yeah. Okay. But okay, so that's true. But how do they build things?
Telekinesis.
All right. No. You need to be able to. You need to be
I mean,
able
that's
to do
definitely a
something.
thing.
So
but
you
this is something that we could
wouldn't
maybe talk
necessarily
about.
need to be able to stand, but and as opposed to be on all fours. But you need to be able to have digits that could do something. Everything
Fine
that is
motor movements.
intelligence
Fine
has a
motor
head that's
movements.
big.
You're right,
If you
yeah.
want to go bigger than that and be telekinetic, their head will be big. Okay, their head will be big. And then here's the deal: is if they look anything like us, they don't really. They're much shorter. They don't barely have genital. They have no kind of muscle at all. But you wouldn't need that for high intelligence building, working the way
That's
we're
true.
going. When we were people and living in caves, there was no big
We
fat
were
people.
brutes.
There
Yeah.
were no big people that couldn't run, couldn't hunt, couldn't lift things. You
I'm
needed
fat
to,
as shit.
I know.
I could not live in those
You
days.
needed to do those things. And so when you're in a cave under fire and you got to defend yourselves from something, you got to go out and hunt, you got to run, you got to go days without eating.
Yeah.
So, but now we don't need those things, and so some people still go to the gym, they work out, they do things because that's good and it's healthy for them. But you don't need to do that to live, and so a lot of us, lo and behold, don't. And even if you're either real skinny with no muscle or obese or whatever you are, and so the gray aliens being shorter, feeble looking, and
Higher intelligence.
big heads, but higher intelligence, but they're feeble looking. They don't need to lift things. They don't need to run or defend themselves. They build with their technology. I think that's very reasonable if you break that down.
This is true.
As a matter of fact, there's a whole conspiracy about how we basically would become that eventually, and that maybe we are them, and they're not from a different. They're from here. They're from
There's
here,
actually
and that we would become into that. We would get shorter, feebler, skinnier, and not need the things that we need sexually.
Yeah, have you guys seen the fucking like teenagers nowadays?
Yeah, they're all over the place. There's almost no gender anymore. But no, listen, it literally is going there. You wouldn't need, like, sexually speaking, a big thing. No. You wouldn't need big muscles. You wouldn't need to get around. You would just be feebler. The smarter you get, the more you're able to build, the more tools you're able to make for everything that you need in life. You wouldn't need the features that we have still. That we've already gotten away from living in caves and building a fire. We're already on that trajectory.
I mean, yeah, we've lost a lot of the hair that we used to have as that.
And muscle. And everything. Strength in general.
And
the hair around
structure.
us. We're living outside the skeleton, the bone density. Everything. We are already on a trajectory where we're getting away from that. And there's a whole theory about how we would become something that would look like the gray alien.
Do you think our penises have changed since we were cavemen?
I only have one thing to say about this before we end this podcast. And Ronnie is
I think mine are
waiting. He is waiting with bells on. This is the only thing I have to say about that. I think that if we all got away from having big dicks or vaginas or whatever, and having any sort of muscles, and we're just little feeble gray aliens, I think, and I'm pointing in my chest with my thumb right now, I think that Big Daddy still walks around with a motherfucking eggplant in my fucking drawers, dude. I think that everybody can be those gray aliens, and I'll look like that too. Only difference is...
you got a third leg.
I got a third fucking leg. Fuck all you guys. We love you. Go ahead and, hit the bell. Or do they do that anymore, Ronnie? Is the bell a thing?
I don't know. But definitely like and subscribe.
Yeah.
Hit up some of our... hit up our comments, man. We want to know what you guys think of some stuff. I know this place gets a little silly a lot of the times, and but there is some serious stuff to be said here.
There is, for real. There is. And we do a lot of research into things, find the videos.
Quit watching only 5 minutes.
Yeah. Have a greater attention span, otherwise you cannot appreciate being a gray alien. Okay?
Exactly.
All right.
You gotta get the high.
And also, before we go, Ronnie's working on some merch. Are you not?
Now I will.
Okay.